Hey everyone, thanks for clicking on this video. Real quick before we start, if this story makes you cancel your Hawaii vacation, smash that like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is. Hawaii people, I know you're out there. You know exactly what I'm about to talk about. And you know I'm not lying. Alright, let's get into it. My name is Christopher Nakamura. I was a petty officer second class in the United States Navy, stationed at Pearl Harbor Naval Base from 1992 to 1996. Shore patrol, security duty. The kind of job that sounds boring until it isn't. I grew up in San Diego, Japanese-American family. My grandfather served in the 442nd Infantry Regiment during World War II, the most decorated unit in American military history. Joining the Navy was my way of continuing that legacy. When I got orders for Hawaii, I thought I'd hit the jackpot. Paradise, beaches, palm trees, beautiful weather year-round, every sailor's dream assignment. My friends back in San Diego were jealous as hell. They shouldn't have been. Because Hawaii isn't paradise, not all of it. There are parts of those islands that don't belong to us, parts that belong to something else, something old, something that was there long before the Navy, long before America, long before Captain Cook ever set foot on Hawaiian soil. The Hawaiians call them Huaka'i Pō, the night marchers, the spirits of ancient warriors who still walk the paths they walked in life. Guarding the sacred places, honoring the old chiefs, and punishing anyone who disrespects them. I know what you're thinking. Ghosts aren't real. Spirits are just stories. Superstition from a primitive culture that didn't understand the world. I thought the same thing, until the night of August 15th, 1994. That's the night I saw them. The night 3 of my friends died because they didn't follow the rules. And the night I learned that some things are older and more powerful than anything the United States Navy can throw at them. Let me start from the beginning. I arrived at Pearl Harbor in March 1992, fresh out of training, 22 years old, ready to serve my country in the most beautiful place on earth. The base was everything I'd imagined. Historic, important. The USS Arizona Memorial right there in the harbor, a constant reminder of December 7th, 1941. The ghosts of 1,177 sailors still entombed in that sunken ship. I used to think that was the only haunting at Pearl Harbor. I was wrong. Shore patrol was a good assignment. We maintained security on the base, checked IDs, responded to incidents, kept the peace when sailors had too much to drink. Nothing glamorous but important work. And it gave me a chance to explore the island on my off hours. That's how I met Kekoa. Kekoa Maho was a civilian contractor who worked on the base. Maintenance and grounds. He was pure Hawaiian. His family had lived on Oahu for generations, long before it was a state, long before it was a territory. Back when the islands were still a kingdom. We became friends over time. He'd tell me stories about Hawaii, not the tourist stuff, the real stories, the legends and history that the brochures don't mention. One night, about a year after I'd arrived, we were drinking beers on the beach when he asked me a question that seemed strange at the time. You ever work night shift near the old trails? Near Kahana Valley or up by the Pali? Sometimes, I said. Why? Kekoa was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "You need to know about the night marchers." I laughed. I shouldn't have, but I did. The ghosts? Come on, man. I've heard the tourist stories. He didn't laugh. His face was serious, more serious than I'd ever seen it. They're not stories, Chris. They're real. My grandmother saw them when she was young. My uncle saw them in the 70s. They've been walking these islands for 1,000 years, and they don't stop for haoles or anyone else. Haole, the Hawaiian word for outsiders. For people like me who came to the islands without understanding what we were stepping into. "Okay," I said, humoring him. "Tell me about them." What he told me that night probably saved my life. The night marchers are the spirits of ancient Hawaiian warriors, Keikoa explained. Chiefs and their armies. They march on certain nights, new moons, full moons, nights that were sacred to the old gods. They follow the same paths they walked in life, ancient trails, sacred routes. Some of those trails run right through places that are bases and neighborhoods now. Including Pearl Harbor? Especially Pearl Harbor. This whole area was sacred. Burial grounds, heiau temples, places where the alii, the chiefs, were laid to rest. The Navy built right on top of all of it. And the night marchers don't care about fences or checkpoints. They walk their paths, always have, always will. I was starting to take this more seriously. Keikoa wasn't the kind of guy to make things up. If he believed in the night marchers, there was a reason. So what happens if you see them? First, you'll hear the drums, pahu drums. Then you'll hear the chanting. Then you'll see the torches, hundreds of them sometimes, a whole army marching through the night. And then, Keikoa looked at me hard, then you follow the rules, or you die. What rules? Rule 1. If you hear the drums, stop moving, don't run. Running draws their attention. Okay. Rule 2. Don't look at them, don't make eye contact. The moment you look at a night marcher directly, they see you. And if they see you, you're marked. Marked for death. You'll be dead before sunrise. Heart attack, stroke, accident. Doesn't matter how, you'll be dead. I felt a chill despite the warm Hawaiian night. What's Rule 3? Lie face down, strip off your clothes if you can. Make yourself humble. Make yourself nothing. Pray. And don't move until they've passed. That's it? Just lie there naked and pray? There's one more thing. If you have Hawaiian blood, if one of your ancestors was Hawaiian, you might be spared. The marchers recognize their own. They might pass you by if you're family. He paused. But you're not Hawaiian, Chris. You're Japanese American. If you see them, you have no protection. Your only chance is to follow the rules perfectly. What if I don't? What if I can't lie down in time? Keikoa shook his head slowly. Then you better hope someone in that procession recognizes you. A relative, an ancestor, someone who will claim you and protect you. Otherwise, he drew his finger across his throat. Before sunrise. Guaranteed. I didn't sleep well that night, or for several nights after. Keikoa's warning stayed with me, the certainty in his voice, the fear in his eyes. But weeks passed, months. Nothing happened. I started to think it was just folklore after all, scary stories that Hawaiians told to give their culture a mystery and power. I stopped thinking about night marchers, stopped worrying about ancient paths and sacred trails. That was my mistake. The night of August 15th, 1994, was a full moon. I was working shore patrol with 3 other guys. Petty Officer David Chen from San Francisco, Seaman Marcus Thompson from Atlanta, and Seaman First Class Brian Kowalski from Chicago. Good guys, friends. We'd served together for over a year. Drank together. Watched each other's backs. They were my brothers. Our patrol route that night took us along the perimeter of the base, near an area that bordered Kahana Valley. I didn't think anything of it at the time. It was just another patrol. Check the fence line. Watch for intruders. Radio in every 30 minutes. Around 02:30, Chen heard something. "You guys hear that?" We stopped, listened. At first, nothing, just the wind in the palm trees. The distant sound of waves. Then I heard it. Drums, low and rhythmic, coming from somewhere in the hills. A steady beat that seemed to vibrate in my chest. Pahu drums. Exactly what Kekoa had described. "What is that?" Thompson asked. "Some kind of luau?" "At 2:30 in the morning?" Kowalski said. "Who throws a luau at 2:30 in the morning?" The drums got louder, and now I could hear something else. Voices, chanting in Hawaiian. A language I didn't speak but somehow understood was ancient, sacred, powerful. I remembered Kikoa's words. Rule 1, stop moving. "Don't move," I said. "Nobody move." "What? Why?" Chen asked. "Just trust me. Stay still, stay quiet." The drums grew louder still, the chanting became clearer, and then, through the trees at the edge of the base perimeter, I saw the torches. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands, a line of fire stretching as far as I could see in both directions, moving slowly, steadily, along a path that ran parallel to the fence, a path that wasn't on any map, an ancient trail that predated everything around it. "Holy shit," Thompson whispered. "What is that?" "Don't look at them," I hissed. "Whatever you do, don't look directly at them." "Are those people?" Kowalski was squinting at the torches, trying to see more clearly. "I can see people carrying them, but they're not." "Stop looking!" I grabbed his arm. "Get down! Everyone get down! Face down, now!" Chen and Thompson stared at me like I was crazy, but something in my voice, something in my fear, made them listen. They lowered themselves to the ground. Not face down like I'd said, but crouching, hiding behind some equipment crates. Kowalski didn't get down. He stood there, staring at the procession, his eyes wide, his mouth open. "Kowalski!" I hissed. "Get down!" "I can see them," he whispered. They're not human. They're glowing, and they're looking at..." His voice trailed off. His body went rigid, and I knew with absolute certainty that he'd done the one thing you must never do. He'd made eye contact. "Oh God," Kowalski said. His voice was different now, hollow, distant. "They see me. They see me." I grabbed him, pulled him down, but it was too late. The procession had stopped. The drums had stopped. The chanting had stopped. And in the silence I heard something that I'll never forget. A single voice, speaking in Hawaiian, and somehow, impossibly, I understood exactly what it said. "E hele mai, come." They were calling him. The night marchers were calling Kowalski to join them. "No," Kowalski was saying. "No, I don't want to go. I don't want to..." He stopped. His eyes rolled back. His body went limp, and he collapsed to the ground. The drums started again. The chanting resumed. The torches began to move. The procession continued on its path, unconcerned with us, unconcerned with anything except their eternal march. Within minutes, they were gone. The lights faded into the hills. The sounds faded into silence. The only evidence they'd been there at all was the smell of smoke and flowers, and Kowalski, unconscious on the ground. "What the fuck was that?" Chen demanded. "What just happened?" "We need to get him to medical," I said. "Now." We carried Kowalski to our patrol vehicle, radioed for assistance, drove him to the base hospital as fast as we could. The doctors couldn't find anything wrong with him. No head trauma, no drugs in his system, no explanation for why he'd lost consciousness. They kept him for observation. Said he'd probably be fine in the morning. He wasn't fine. At 0547, just before sunrise, Kowalski's heart stopped. Massive cardiac arrest. No warning, no explanation. A healthy 24-year-old sailor with no history of heart problems, dead on a hospital bed. I was there when it happened. When the monitors started screaming, when the doctors rushed in and tried to resuscitate him, when they finally called the time of death, I knew what had killed him. The doctors never would. The night marchers had marked him, and they always collected what they were owed. The official cause of death was cardiac arrhythmia. Natural causes, a tragic but unexplainable medical event. The Navy sent its condolences to Kowalski's family. A chaplain said some words. Life on the base continued as if nothing had happened. But I knew, and Chen and Thompson knew. We'd seen something that night, something that shouldn't exist, something that had killed our friend just by looking at him. The day after Kowalski's funeral, I went to find Keikoa. He was working on the grounds near one of the old officer housing units. When he saw my face, he stopped what he was doing. He knew. I don't know how, but he knew. "You saw them," he said, not a question. "Last night, near the Kahana Valley perimeter, 4 of us. One of them looked." Keikoa closed his eyes. "He's dead. This morning, heart attack. He was 24 years old. I'm sorry for your friend, but that's how it works. You look, you die. There's no exception, no appeal. What about the rest of us? Chen and Thompson and me, we saw them too. We saw the torches. Did you look at them directly? Did you make eye contact?" I thought back to that moment, the procession passing by, the torches in the darkness. I'd seen them, but I'd kept my eyes down, hadn't looked at any faces, hadn't made contact. "I don't think so. I kept my head down." "Then you might be okay. The marchers don't care about being seen. They care about being challenged. Eye contact is a challenge. Looking directly at them says, 'I see you, I acknowledge you, I'm not afraid.' That's what kills people. But we were just standing there. We weren't challenging anyone. Doesn't matter. The rules are the rules. They were made 1,000 years ago, and they haven't changed. The marchers don't understand context or intention. They only understand respect and disrespect." I felt sick. Kowalski had died because he'd looked at something, because he'd been curious, because nobody had warned him about rules that sounded like something from a fairy tale. "I need to know more," I said. "I need to understand what we're dealing with." Keikoa studied me for a long moment. "Come to my grandmother's house tonight. She knows more about the night marchers than anyone alive. If anyone can help you understand, it's her." That evening, I drove to the North Shore, to a small house in a village that tourists never saw. Keikoa's grandmother, Tutu Leilani, was waiting for me on the porch. She was ancient, 90 years old at least. Skin like crinkled brown paper, eyes that had seen things I couldn't imagine. When she looked at me, I felt like she was seeing straight through to my soul. "The Haole boy who saw the marchers," she said. Her voice was surprisingly strong. "Sit, I'll tell you what you need to know." I sat on the porch beside her. The sun was setting over the Pacific, one of the most beautiful sunsets I'd ever seen, but I couldn't appreciate it. All I could think about was Kowalski's face, that hollow look in his eyes when he'd said, "They see me." "The night marchers are not ghosts," Tutu Leilani began. "Not in the way you Haoles think of ghosts. They are aqua, spirits, but more than that. They are the memory of the land, the echo of what was. They walk because they have always walked. They march because that is their nature. They cannot stop, they will never stop. Where do they come from? From the beginning. from the first chiefs who ruled these islands. When a great ali'i died, his warriors would carry his body along the sacred paths to the burial place. The chanting, the drums, the torches. It was a procession of honor, of power, of mana. Mana? Spiritual power. The chiefs had great mana, so much that it was kapu, forbidden, for common people to even look at them. To touch their shadow could mean death. To speak their name could curse your family for generations. I was starting to understand. So the night marchers are the greatest chiefs and their armies, still walking the paths, still carrying the mana they had in life. And that mana is still deadly to anyone who crosses it. How do I protect myself? How do I make sure what happened to Kowalski doesn't happen to me? Tutu Leilani was quiet for a moment. You said you didn't look at them directly. I tried not to. I kept my head down. Good, that's good. But it may not be enough. Once you've witnessed the marchers, you've stepped into their world. They know you now. They may come for you. My blood ran cold. What do you mean, come for me? The marchers walk specific paths on specific nights. But sometimes, if someone has witnessed them, they return. They come to test that person, to see if they will show proper respect, or if they will repeat the disrespect that marked them. How do I pass the test? You remember the rules. If you hear the drums, stop. If you see the torches, look away. If they approach, lie face down with your eyes closed. Bare your neck to them. Show them you are nothing. Show them you are no threat. Show them you submit to their power completely. And if I do all that, then they may pass you by, or they may not. The marchers are not consistent. They do not follow human logic. Sometimes they spare people. Sometimes they take them anyway. There is no guarantee. No guarantee. That wasn't what I wanted to hear. Is there any protection, anything that can keep them away? Tutu Leilani reached into her pocket and pulled out a small bundle wrapped in tea leaves. This is la'i, sacred tea leaf. It has protective power. Wear it close to your heart. It won't stop the marchers, but it may help them see you as someone who respects the old ways, someone who isn't a threat. I took the bundle. It was light, smelled like earth and something else, something green and alive. There's one more thing, she said. The most important thing. If you see the marchers again, look for anyone among them who might recognize you, anyone who might claim you as family. But I'm not Hawaiian. I have no Hawaiian family. You're Japanese American, yes? Yes. Hawaii has many Japanese, many who have married Hawaiians, many whose blood has mixed with the blood of these islands. Do you have any relatives who lived in Hawaii? Grandparents? Great-grandparents? Anyone? I thought about it. My family was from San Diego. Before that, from Japan. We'd come to California in the early 1900s. No connection to Hawaii that I knew of. I don't think so. Tutu Leilani nodded slowly. Then you have no protection except the rules. Follow them perfectly, and pray. I drove back to the base that night with the tie leaf bundle in my pocket, trying to process everything I'd learned, trying to believe that I was in real danger from something supernatural. But I believed, after what I'd seen, after Kowalski, I believed. The next 3 weeks were quiet. No drums in the night, no torches on the hills. I started to think maybe it was over. Maybe the marchers had moved on. Maybe I was safe. Then Chen and Thompson started seeing things. Chen came to me first. September 5th. His face was pale, his hands were shaking. I've been hearing drums, he said. At night, every night. But when I look outside, there's nothing there. Are you sure you're hearing them? Maybe it's... I know what drums sound like, Nakamura, and these aren't normal drums. They're the same ones we heard that night. The same rhythm, the same sound, but there's no one there. Thompson had a different problem. He was seeing things out of the corner of his eye. Movement where there shouldn't be movement. Lights that vanished when he turned to look at them. It's like they're following me, he told me. Watching me. Waiting for something. The marchers were testing them, just like Tutu Leilani had warned, coming back to see if they would show respect. Or disrespect. I told them everything, the rules, the tie leaf protection. What would happen if they failed the test? Chen listened carefully. Thompson was skeptical, but scared enough to listen. So, we just have to follow the rules, Chen said. Don't look at them. Lie face down. We can do that. It's not that simple. The rules have to be followed perfectly, and they're testing you at random times, when you're asleep, when you're not paying attention. One moment of weakness, and... I drew my finger across my throat. They understood. For the next week we stayed on edge. Carried the tie leaf bundles Kekua had gotten for us. Followed protocols. Supported each other, but it wasn't enough. September 12th. Thompson was on night watch alone. Against regulations, but the base was short-staffed and he'd volunteered. He thought he could handle it. Around 0300, the base received a call from his radio. Just static at first. Then his voice screaming. "They're here! Oh God, they're here! I can see them, so many of them. The radio cut off. By the time anyone got to his position, Thompson was unconscious. Just like Kowalski had been. He died at 0523. Stroke. No warning. No explanation. The doctors were baffled. 2 healthy young men dead within a month of each other. Same patrol unit, same mysterious circumstances. There were whispers of an investigation. Theories about environmental factors or toxic exposure. Nobody considered the truth. Nobody would believe the truth. Chen and I were the only ones left who knew what was really happening. And Chen was getting worse. He wasn't sleeping, couldn't eat. Every shadow made him flinch. Every sound made him jump. The drums were louder now, he said, constant, even during the day. They're not going to stop, he told me. They're going to keep coming until they get all of us. We can fight this. We just have to stay strong, follow the rules. What good are rules against something like that? They're ghosts, Nakamura. Dead things that won't stay dead. How do you fight that? You don't fight, you survive, you show respect, you submit. I'm not submitting to anything. His voice was harder now, angry. I'm a United States sailor. I don't bow down to anyone. Chen, listen to me. Pride will get you killed. These things don't care about your uniform or your flag. They only care about respect. Then maybe they need to learn some respect for us. I knew then that Chen was going to die. That stubborn look in his eyes, that refusal to accept what was happening. He was going to challenge them, whether he meant to or not. I tried to stay with him, tried to keep him safe. But I couldn't be there every moment. I had my own duties, my own life. September 18th, Chen was off duty. Drinking at a bar in Honolulu with some other sailors. I wasn't there. I was on shift. Stuck on the base while my friend walked straight into death. According to witnesses, Chen left the bar around midnight. Started walking toward the parking lot. Then stopped, stared at something in the distance. The other sailors didn't see anything. Just Chen, standing in the middle of the lot, looking at empty air. Then he started screaming. "Come on then, come on, I'm right here, I'm not afraid of you." He was challenging them. shouting at the night marchers, daring them to take him. They did. Chen collapsed in that parking lot. Heart attack. He was dead before the ambulance arrived. 3 friends, 3 deaths, all within 6 weeks of that night near Kahana Valley. And I was the only one left. The drums started for me the next night. Low and distant at first, then closer, louder, every night getting closer. I could feel them coming, feel them circling, testing, waiting for me to make a mistake. I did everything right, followed every rule, kept the tie leaf close to my heart, prayed to gods I didn't believe in. But I knew it wasn't enough. I knew they were coming for me, too, and I knew that when they came, I would either submit completely, or I would die like my friends. The drums came closer every night. By the end of September, I could hear them even during the day. A low rhythm underneath everything. Like a heartbeat that wasn't my own. Like the island itself was pulsing with ancient power. I went back to Tutu Leilani, desperate, terrified, looking for any way to survive what was coming. "They're not going to stop," I told her. "They're coming for me, I can feel it." The old woman looked at me with those ancient eyes. "You have followed the rules. Perfectly. Every time I hear the drums, I stop. I keep my eyes down. I have the tie leaf, but it's not enough, they're still coming. Then there must be a reason, something you haven't told me, something about that night." I thought back, the patrol, the drums, the torches, Kowalski looking at them, the voice calling him. And then I remembered. When Kowalski had collapsed, I'd grabbed him, pulled him down, and in that moment, for just a second, my eyes had passed over the procession. I hadn't meant to look, hadn't tried to make eye contact, but I'd seen them, seen their faces. Rows of warriors in ancient dress, feathered helmets and cloaks, weapons I didn't recognize. And in the center of the procession, carried on a platform by 4 men, a figure wrapped in kapa cloth, a chief, a king, the one they were all marching for. I'd seen him, for just an instant, but I'd seen him. "I looked," I whispered. "When I was pulling Kowalski down, I saw them, I saw the chief." Tutu Leilani's face went pale. "You saw the ali'i? The one they carry?" "Yes. Just for a second. I didn't mean to, but that changes everything." Her voice was heavy, final. "The chief is the most sacred, the most powerful. To see him is the greatest kapu, the greatest violation. Then I'm dead, like Kowalski, like the others. Perhaps, or perhaps," she trailed off, thinking. "Tell me about your family again. Your grandparents. Your great-grandparents, where did they come from?" "Japan. My family came from Japan to California in the early 1900s. We have no connection to Hawaii." "Are you certain? Think carefully. Was there no one who might have passed through these islands, even briefly?" I tried to think. What did I know about my family history? My grandfather had served in World War II, the 442nd Regiment. They'd trained at Camp Shelby in Mississippi, but before they shipped out to Europe. Some of them had been stationed at Camp McCoy, I said slowly. But some units trained at different places, including, I looked at Tutu Leilani, including here, in Hawaii, on Oahu. "Your grandfather trained in Hawaii?" "I don't know, maybe. I never asked. But the 442nd had units all over. Some of them definitely trained here before the war." Tutu Leilani leaned forward. "If your grandfather was in Hawaii, even briefly, there is a chance. A small chance. The islands have power. They mark everyone who comes here. And if he was here long enough, if he connected with this place in some way, what are you saying?" "I'm saying that you might have more protection than you realize. Hawaiian mana doesn't require blood. It requires connection. Spirit. If your grandfather walked these paths, breathed this air, honored this land, some of that connection might have passed to you. It was a thin hope, the thinnest, but it was all I had. I called my father that night, asked him about my grandfather's service, where he'd trained, where he'd been stationed before going to Europe. My father didn't know the details. Grandfather never talked about the war, but he'd kept his old papers, his service records, his letters home. They were in a box in the attic. My father promised to look through them and call me back. 3 days later, he called. "I found something," he said. "A letter from 1943. Before your grandfather shipped out to Italy, he was stationed at Schofield Barracks in Hawaii for 3 months. Schofield Barracks, right here on Oahu. My grandfather had walked these same roads, breathed this same air, maybe even patrolled these same paths where the night marchers walked. There's something else," my father continued. "In the letter, he mentions meeting a local girl, a Hawaiian girl. Says she taught him some words in Hawaiian, gave him a necklace for protection. He says it was made of tai leaves, the same protection Tutu Leilani had given me. He wore it all through the war," my father said. "Said it kept him safe. When he came home, he put it in a box and never spoke of Hawaii again. I found the box, Chris. The necklace is still in it. What's this about? Why do you need to know this?" I couldn't explain. Not over the phone. Not in any way he'd understand. "Just something I'm researching," I said. "Thanks, Dad." I hung up and sat in the darkness of my barracks room, thinking about my grandfather, a young Japanese-American man volunteering to fight for a country that had put his family in internment camps, training in Hawaii, meeting a Hawaiian girl, receiving a gift of tai leaves. Had he seen them too? The night marchers? Is that why he never spoke of Hawaii? And if he had seen them, if he had survived, what did that mean for me? The answer came on October 3rd, 1994. I was on night patrol again, alone this time. My request. I knew what was coming, knew I had to face it by myself. Whatever happened, I didn't want anyone else to die. The moon was full, the air was still, and around midnight, I heard the drums. Not distant this time. Close. So close that the ground seemed to vibrate with every beat. I stopped walking, stood perfectly still, kept my eyes down, waited. The chanting came next. Voices raised in ancient Hawaiian, words of power and honor and death. They were closer now than they'd ever been. Coming straight toward me, I saw the torchlight first, that flickering orange glow at the edge of my vision. Then the movement. Hundreds of figures walking in formation, the night marchers in all their terrible glory. Every instinct told me to run, to look up, to fight back somehow. But I remembered the rules, remembered my friends who had died because they hadn't followed them. I dropped to my knees, then to my face, pressed my forehead against the ground, closed my eyes. Stripped off my shirt so my bare back was exposed to them. Total submission. Total surrender. The marchers came closer. I could feel them now, not just hear them. Feel them. A presence like cold fire washing over me. The mana that Tutu Leilani had described. Ancient power that could stop a heart with a glance. They stopped. The drums fell silent. The chanting ceased. The only sound was the rustle of grass in the wind. I didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't open my eyes. I lay there face down in the dirt, waiting to die. Then I heard a voice. Not a command like the one that had called Kowalski. Softer, almost gentle. The voice spoke in Hawaiian, words I shouldn't have understood. But somehow, lying there in the presence of the marchers, I understood perfectly. "This one bears our mark." Another voice answered, older, more powerful. "He looked upon the sacred one, he must pay. He has paid, look at him. He submits, he honors, he wears the lai of the old protection. That is not enough. The law is clear. The law is old, but so is mercy. Look deeper. See what runs in his blood." Silence. I felt something pass over me, through me, a presence examining my very soul, looking for something. Then the powerful voice spoke again, surprised now. "There is a thread, faint, but real. This one's ancestor walked with us, was protected by our people. The connection remains. Then he is of the islands. Even if his blood is not, his spirit is. Yes, he is of the islands." The presence withdrew. The drums began again. The chanting resumed. The marchers started to move. I lay there, face down, as hundreds of spirits walked past me, felt the heat of their torches on my bare back, smelled smoke and flowers and something else, something ancient and green. They were so close I could have reached out and touched them, but I didn't move, didn't open my eyes, didn't do anything except submit. Minutes passed, hours maybe. Time didn't work right in their presence, but eventually the sounds faded. The presence lifted. The night became quiet again. When I finally opened my eyes, dawn was breaking. I was lying on the ground, covered in dew, my body stiff from hours of not moving. But I was alive. They had examined me, judged me, found the thread of connection that my grandfather had created 50 years ago, and they had let me live. I got to my feet slowly. Every muscle ached. My head was pounding. But I was alive. Alive when 3 of my friends were dead. Alive because of a Hawaiian girl who had given my grandfather a tie leaf necklace in 1943. I looked toward Kahana Valley, toward the path the marchers had walked. In the early morning light I could see nothing, no evidence that hundreds of ghost warriors had passed this way, just grass and trees and the distant mountains. But I knew they were there, somewhere. Walking the paths they had always walked, guarding the sacred places they had always guarded. Eternal, unchanging, forever. I reached into my pocket. The tea leaf bundle was still there. It felt different now, warmer, more real, like it had been charged by the presence of the marchers, or blessed by them. I said a prayer of thanks to whoever was listening, to my grandfather for his connection to this place, to the Hawaiian girl who had given him protection, to Tutu Leilani for teaching me the rules, to Kekoa for warning me in the first place, and to the night marchers themselves for their terrible mercy, for letting me live. I requested a transfer the next week, put in for any assignment that would get me off Oahu. I didn't care where, Japan, Guam, back to San Diego, anywhere but Hawaii. The Navy granted the request within a month. They were probably happy to move me. 3 sailors dead from the same patrol unit, all from mysterious cardiac events. I was bad luck, a reminder of something nobody wanted to think about. Before I left, I went to see Tutu Leilani one last time. "You survived," she said. It wasn't a question. She'd known I would, maybe she'd known all along. "My grandfather. You knew about the connection, didn't you?" She smiled, the first time I'd seen her smile. "I knew there was something. The marchers don't come for everyone. They came for you repeatedly because they sensed the thread. They were testing it, seeing if it was real. And when they found it, they honored it. Your grandfather's spirit is part of these islands now, and through him, so is yours. You are kama'aina, someone who belongs to the land. Even if you leave, that connection will remain. Will they ever come for me again? Tutu Leilani looked at me with those ancient eyes. The night marchers walk every island. They walk in places you wouldn't expect, and they remember everyone they've touched. You have been marked by them, not for death, but marked nonetheless. What does that mean? It means you will hear the drums again. Maybe here, maybe somewhere else. When the veil is thin and the marchers walk, you will sense them. You will always sense them. It is the price of surviving their attention. The price. I thought about that. 3 friends dead. My sanity nearly destroyed. And now a lifetime of hearing drums that no one else could hear. Was survival worth that price? Yes. Yes, it was. Because I was alive. And Kowalski and Thompson and Chen were not. I flew out of Honolulu on November 15, 1994. Watched the islands shrink beneath the plain. Green mountains and blue water and white beaches. Paradise for tourists. Something else entirely for those who knew better. I never went back. The Navy sent me to Japan for the rest of my tour. Then to Guam. Then to San Diego, where I finished my service and returned to civilian life. Got married, had kids, built a career in security consulting. Normal life. Quiet life. But Tutu Leilani was right. The drums never stopped. Not constantly. Not every night. But on certain nights when the moon was full, when something about the air felt ancient and charged, I would hear them. That low, rhythmic beating. The sound of the night marchers walking somewhere in the world. My wife thought I was having flashbacks. PTSD from my service. She wasn't entirely wrong. What happened in Hawaii left scars that never fully healed. But the drums weren't flashbacks. They were something else. A connection to a world that most people would never see. I told my children about the night marchers when they were old enough. Told them the rules. Made sure they understood that Hawaii wasn't just beaches and luau's. Made sure they knew to respect the old things if they ever visited. My son thought I was superstitious. My daughter believed me. She has her great-great-grandmother's gift for seeing what others can't. I think she hears the drums, too, sometimes. She doesn't talk about it, but I see her pause on certain nights, tilt her head, listen to something only she can hear. The thread continues. Through me to her. Through her to whoever comes next. A connection to the islands and their spirits that will last as long as our bloodline does. I've done research over the years. Read everything I could find about the night marchers. The stories are consistent, going back centuries. Hawaiian, American, Japanese, Chinese, everyone who has lived on those islands has encountered them eventually. The details vary, but the core truth remains the same. They are real. They walk. And if you disrespect them, you die. The deaths continue too. Not publicized, not acknowledged, but I've found them. Patterns in the data if you know what to look for. Tourists who have heart attacks on midnight walks. Hikers who die of stroke on ancient trails. Young, healthy people with no medical history. Dead without explanation. The official causes are always natural. The real causes are always the same. They looked. I've thought about going public. Writing a book, warning people. But who would believe me? The night marchers are a tourist attraction now. A kitschy legend that hotels and tour companies use to add authentic Hawaiian mystery to their packages. Ghost tours that walk the sacred paths, midnight hikes on the old trails. People paying money to experience something they think is fake. Some of them don't come back. And nobody connects the dots. The Hawaiian people know the truth. They've always known. But they're not going to explain it to haoles who wouldn't listen anyway. They've tried for 200 years. It doesn't work. The outsiders don't believe, don't want to believe. So, the Hawaiians just shake their heads and watch another generation of tourists walk into the darkness. I understand now why my grandfather never talked about Hawaii. Why he put that Thai leaf necklace in a box and tried to forget. Some experiences are too big for words, too strange for casual conversation, too dangerous to share with people who might dismiss them as superstition. But I'm not staying silent. Not after what happened to Kowalski and Thompson and Chen. Not after what I survived. So here it is. My testimony. My warning. The truth about the night marchers of Hawaii. If you go to the islands, enjoy the beaches, enjoy the food, enjoy the beauty that makes Hawaii unlike anywhere else on Earth. But respect the land, respect the culture, respect the things that were there before we arrived and will be there long after we're gone. If you hear drums in the night, stop moving. If you see torchlight on the hills, look away. If they come close, lie face down with your eyes closed and pray. Don't challenge them, don't question them, don't try to take pictures or prove they're real. Just submit. Completely. Utterly. Show them you are nothing and they might let you live. Because the night marchers are the spirits of ancient Hawaiian warriors. They've been walking those islands for 1,000 years. They'll be walking them for 1,000 more. And they don't care about your vacation plans, or your skepticism, or your iPhone. They care about respect. Give them respect and you'll probably be fine. Refuse and you'll die before sunrise. It's that simple, and that terrifying. 3 of my friends looked at the night marchers. 3 of my friends died within 6 weeks. Healthy young men in their 20s, dead from heart attacks and strokes that came out of nowhere. I survived because of a connection I didn't know I had. A thread of spirit that linked me to the islands through my grandfather's service 50 years before. Most people don't have that connection. Most people have no protection at all. So when you go to Hawaii, remember the rules. Don't look. Don't run. Don't challenge. Lie down, close your eyes, submit completely, and pray. Because the drums are still beating, the torches are still burning, the night marchers are still walking, and they always collect what they're owed. I'm 64 years old now, retired, living in Arizona, as far from any ocean as I can get. I still hear the drums sometimes. Full moon nights, sacred nights, nights when the veil between worlds is thin. My wife passed 5 years ago. My kids are grown. I have grandchildren who listen to my stories with wide eyes and open hearts. Maybe one day, one of them will hear the drums too. That's the legacy now. Not just survival, but remembrance, making sure the truth gets passed down, making sure someone knows. The Hawaiian people have been doing this for generations, telling stories, teaching rules, preparing their children for what walks in the darkness. Now I do the same. A Japanese-American veteran from San Diego, carrying stories that were never meant for me. But that found me anyway. The night marchers changed my life, took my friends, gave me nightmares that lasted decades. But they also gave me something else. Perspective. There are things in this world that are older than us, more powerful than us. Things that don't care about our technology or our weapons or our certainty that we understand how reality works. The night marchers are one of those things. Ancient spirits walking ancient paths, doing what they've always done, what they'll always do. We don't control them, can't defeat them, can barely comprehend them. All we can do is show respect, follow the rules, and hope that's enough. For me, it was enough. Barely. Thanks to a connection I didn't know existed, and a mercy I didn't deserve. For Kowalski and Thompson and Chen, it wasn't enough. They broke the rules. They paid the price. Don't be like them. If you ever find yourself in Hawaii on a night when the moon is full and the air feels strange, and you hear drums in the distance, remember what I've told you, and don't look. Whatever you do, don't look. Last month I got a call from my daughter. She'd taken her family to Hawaii for vacation. First time any of us had been back to the island since I left in 1994. "Dad," she said, her voice shaking. "We were hiking near Kahana Valley, and I heard drums." My heart stopped. "What did you do?" I stopped, made everyone stop, told them to get down, close their eyes. Did they? Yes, the kids were scared, but they listened. We stayed down until it passed. "Did you see anything?" A pause, then, "I saw lights, Dad. Torches. Hundreds of them, and I saw—" Her voice broke. "I saw something in the middle. Being carried, something wrapped in cloth." The chief. She'd seen the chief, just like I had 30 years ago. "But I didn't look directly," she continued. "I remembered your stories. I kept my eyes down, and after a while the lights faded. The drums stopped, and we were okay. I closed my eyes, thanked every god I could name. The thread had held. The connection had protected her, just as it had protected me. Don't go back there, I told her. Don't ever go near that valley again. I won't, Dad. Trust me. I won't. She understands now, what I understood 30 years ago. Some places don't belong to us. Some paths aren't meant for walking. And some things should never, ever be looked at directly. The night marchers are still walking. After 1,000 years, after everything that's changed, they're still there. Still guarding, still judging, still collecting the souls of those who disrespect them. My name is Christopher Nakamura. I was a sailor at Pearl Harbor. I saw the night marchers of Hawaii. 3 of my friends looked at them. 3 of my friends died. I survived because of a thread of connection I didn't know existed. And I'm telling you this story so that maybe, just maybe, you'll survive too. Remember the rules, and don't look.